So this is my specialist pull-up training day, which I have in my current routine because I'm training to do a muscle up eventually. So the idea is to get strong at pull-ups, standard pull-ups, until I'm at the point where muscle up will essentially be easy. I know I need to do specialist training for the muscle up, but anyway, so here it is. I'm doing scapular raises with a hollow body pose, which is basically just tensing the core and staying tight in there while raising my body up with just the scapula. And this is just to warm up in the bottom portion of the pull-ups that I'm eventually going to do. And this is a little warm-up, just getting the blood in the socket, in the joint of the shoulder. But I call them Roman emperors, and then put some swings in there, and you can see during the swings I'm moving my thumb from up position to down position, and that just helps with the positioning of the ball at the end of the arm bone, so you hit at different angles and make sure the muscles are nice and ready to go all round, just getting the blood in those areas really. So you don't have to do all the details if you don't want to, but swings are pretty good just for getting in the zone and making sure you're nice and warmed up in the shoulder area. And then after I've done the swings, I'll do a few reps of just like a dumbbell or a kettlebell bent over row on a bench. This is not really a workout, this is just getting the blood and the focus into the lats and the rear delts. So when it comes time to pull up, they're already warmed up, so it's not going to be... It's mostly just for injury prevention and just get a little bit of focus. It helps psychologically as well to think about your lats and pulling them as that's the main movement that we're going to be doing. In a moment, after I've finished doing these, I did 2 sets of 12, and the kettlebell, that one weighs 12 kilograms, so it's really easy. It's not really a workout, this is just a warm-up. But lately, I've been doing longer warm-ups and incorporating lots of extra stuff because I like it. I think it's a good thing. It doesn't consume more energy. It does consume more time, but I think ultimately it's worth it to prevent injuries. And also things like this one. This is one of my favorites. I started doing this one recently. I'm not very good at it, but you get such a nice stretch on the lats and the serratus muscles down the side of your body. And as you've also got that push up, the overhead push as well. So this is really good for pre-pull up. It's just a good pre-pull up exercise. And you could actually increase the weights on this and use it as like a proper workout if you wanted to, because there's not many other, at least in the standard set of hypertrophy exercises that most people do, I can't think of one that really works in this plane by stretching yourself over to the side with the weight. And yeah, I guess a pullover might be close, but that's more of a straight, not into the side. It's sort of like a side pullover. But yeah, you can see as I come down, the arm reaches over and I actually take the weight onto that arm. So the stretch is enhanced by the added weight on that arm. But yeah, I recommend this one. I think that somewhere in your weekly routine, get that in there. And then finishing off the warm-up with these. You don't really have to do these because we've already done a bunch of scapular stuff, but these are scapular push-ups. So people probably look at me weirdly in the gym thinking that I can't do push-ups, or I don't really know how to do a push-up. But this is not a push-up. This is, in the standard sense, this is a scapular push-up. This is just from a different angle. So doing 2 sets of 20, but the numbers don't really matter so much here. This is really about making sure that everything is warmed up, activated, and aligned as well, because the scapula and the whole shoulder area can become lopsided, and yeah, so anyway, here we are. I just went straight in with the weighted pull-ups because I'm only doing 10 kilograms. So there's one part of me that thinks I should be doing the pull-ups, body weight pull-ups first, and then move to the weighted, but the weight is not extreme. So I went straight in with the weighted pull-ups and didn't do too many because they're really hard. So I did 5 there. 5, 3, and 2 was where I'm at this point. So there was a belt, but the belt snapped. I didn't snap it, someone snapped it at the gym. And that's why I've put the dumbbell in between my feet. It makes it harder. So I'd recommend a belt with the chain and the weight on the chain. Much better. I could probably do more reps that way, because doing it with the dumbbell like this, it's taken focus away, and at this point my abs were already sore because the day before I was doing ab work. So at this point, after I've done my standard pull-up, with the hand position, I'm now doing like a neutral grip because it's easier to do neutral grip. You can do more. So I thought after that, I'll switch the grips. Once I get below 3, switch the grips. And now I'm just doing body weight. And obviously I'm already exhausted from the weighted pull-ups. I managed to do just 5 reps. Then it was time to work on abs and grip at the same time, which is why I'm doing hanging leg raises. I love these. I think they're really hard and they're really good, and I'm really bad at them, clearly. Can't do too many. And my grip will give out any second now. So I look at this like a combo movement where I can work my grip and the core simultaneously. So it might not be optimal. I know everyone's into optimizing, but I'm looking at it differently. This to me is very functional and useful, because if you are ever hanging off a cliff or a tree from a great height, you are going to need to be able to hang and use your core at the same time. So, if you're hanging off a helicopter or something and you need to double kick your enemy who's hanging on the other side, then these will help. And obviously, after a certain point, leg raises are really difficult. So I will switch to knee raises, and then I can do a lot more. So here I've done 3 sets, 2 with leg raises, reached the point where it's just getting impossible to keep the form, and then moved on to the knee raises until I can't do any more, or until the grip gives out, whichever first. And then I'm doing these, I don't exactly know what they're called. I know it's a reverse hyperextension, but it's not exactly, because what I'm doing is I'm doing a full spinal flexion. So what I'm doing here is, this is not because I want to get a massively strong and muscular lower back. This is for spine health. I've just done a bunch of leg raises, so I want to make sure that my lower back as well is feeling healthy. And these are actually surprisingly hard if you do them slowly, and full flexion, like you're really using the spine how it's meant to be used. I know that a lot of the advice out there is to keep your back straight, but that's usually because you're carrying weight, and the idea is that you don't want to put too much pressure on, you know, on your discs and all that. But this is quite the opposite. This is, no, you don't want to put pressure on your discs, but you want to get used to using your spine how it was designed to be used in a safe way. I'm not adding any weight on this, just body weight. So this will train your lower back to be able to, you know, be in this position and strengthen that in a nice and easy way. And I feel like this is a nice little finisher for this day. However, yeah, I've added some twists here as well at the end, just as a, I know how it looks, but if you should try this out, it's actually really good and surprisingly difficult. But this is not the main ab exercise. The thing is, there's, you'll see in a minute, it will come up, the ab roller. And the reason this is done with a different clothes and in a different room is because I did it on a different day. It's supposed to be on my program on the same day, but I find these really intense, and I sometimes just like to do them on a separate day, just in the off day. It just makes my workout easier. And they don't have one of these at the gym, so yeah, I decided to do it the day after. But these are absolutely amazing and absolutely brutal, and highly recommended to get good at these. That's what I want to do, get good at them. So that is basically the end of this day. So bye-bye.